Welcome to another CEO Wisdom podcast. We have Kim Constable with us today. She's the founder at the Sculpted Vegan. It's an online bodybuilding platform. And Kim, yeah, serial entrepreneur. I would say I see the yoga talks here. I see work at home moms network. So
Oh, that was a
serial
long
entrepreneur.
time ago. That was a long time ago.
Yeah, but serial entrepreneur, right? And obsessed with the body part of being a human, and also
It's
quite
true.
very smart. So, Kim, glad to have you on the pods. Tell us a bit more about yourself and what you've been up to.
Well, yeah, serial entrepreneur. What can I say? For my sins, I just keep thinking one day I might stop, or one day, and I'm like, no, I just it's in my blood. What can I say? Yeah, a bit about myself. I guess I started in the online world. Oh, after my son Jack was born, and he's 13 now. And I just wanted to try and figure out a way that I could earn money from home without having to leave my four kids. And tried and failed for many years to start different businesses. Really did not succeed. I just kept spending money, and my husband despaired until finally I decided to jack it all in and become a vegan bodybuilder. And then, of course, the entrepreneurial spirit kicked in again. I was like, well, maybe I could package this and sell it online, which is exactly what I did, and went on to build the Sculpted Vegan, which is the world's largest online vegan bodybuilding company. And then from there, we went into the Sculpted Menopause. We are now launching another fitness platform called B Sculpted. And I also have a social marketplace platform built as well in app form, which we plan to launch as soon as I have the time, called Only Fitness as well. So I kind of moved from being an online fitness company more into a SaaS company, if you like, software as a service, building apps and taking the platform in that direction rather than just, purely online, which is what we were with websites and things before. But yeah, having a lot of fun, failing loads, restructuring the company at the minute, doing a major restructure of the company at the minute, and just trying to keep my head above water. Charles, what can I say? It's every day's the grind, isn't it?
Yeah. And how did you become a vegan? And were you a vegan before you were a bodybuilder?
I was vegetarian for about 20, 25 years, I think. And then I became vegan. Let me see, how many years ago was it now? I think it was probably about 10 years ago. I decided to go vegan. And honestly, the reason why a lot of people say, why did you go vegan? Was it, ethical reasons? It actually wasn't ethical reasons. It was more health reasons. I read a book called the China study by I can't remember the author, but anyway, it was the world's largest, or the biggest study of nutrition and health ever done in history. And it really just showed a very direct link between cancer growth and protein, animal protein. And they showed how they could, in lab rats, turn off and on cancer cell growth by increasing protein by more than 15% or decreasing it by 15%. And whenever I saw the science, whenever I saw the studies, I was kind of I was like, wow, okay, well, like I'm already vegetarian and I like to do hard things, I have to be honest. And I thought, well, why not go vegan? Veganism was on the rise at the time. And I thought, why not go fully vegan and see, can I, and challenge myself? I like to challenge myself. And I thought, I'm going to embrace this lifestyle. And it was really for health reasons more than anything that I went vegan. And that was 10 years ago now. And yeah, it's just become a lifestyle. It's become who I am. You don't really think about it anymore. It just is, it's so part of who I am and what I do now, that I don't think I could ever go back.
Right. And nowadays, I mean, you check that study back then. Are studies still proving that being a vegan is actually beneficial for longevity and health span?
Honestly, I don't know. I'm not really, I am not one of these passionate advocates for veganism. Here's the thing, right? And this is what I always say to people. I think that you whenever you feel like you have something to prove, which I think a lot of people do. And I think after a lot of people, whenever people turn vegan, I see it all the time in my community, they become kind of really evangelical about veganism, right? And then they try and convince all their
Identity.
friends. Yeah, they're like, everybody should be vegan. And they become very, very evangelical about it. And they start, reading all the studies. And it's basically, it's called cognitive dissonance. It's like after you've made a decision to do something, now you have to try and find all the data and retrofit why your decision was a good decision. And so but I was never I was never like that. I was always very solid in my decisions. And so I was never trying to convince anybody to become vegan, or never, would have, spouted all these studies, never had to reinforce my decision, if you like. And so, people ask me all the time, "Oh, what benefits did you notice after you went vegan?" And I'm like, "Yeah, none." And they go, "Well, what do you mean not? Like, was your hair not better? Your skin, your nails? Did you not sleep better?" I'm like, "No, no." And they're, and they get really, especially the vegans get really angry at me whenever I say no, because they're like, "But it's so much better for you. Like, surely you noticed." I'm like, "I really, honestly didn't." But I think they just want to convince themselves and convince others that, if you go vegan, something in your life is going to change. It's really not. Anybody can get protein from any source. Anybody can get, good fats, good carbs, good, the only thing you're cutting out of your diet is dairy and animal products, really. But you really don't have, there's really no discernible massive benefit to going vegan that I ever noticed. And so I have to be honest, I don't really keep up with the latest research and the latest studies. And I'm not a big pro advocate for veganism. I'm a pro advocate for health. It works for me. It works for many people that I coach. But I'm also fully in support of, I'm very pro choice. I'm fully in support of anybody who wants to eat a carnivore diet, or an omnivore diet, or a vegetarian diet. I'm all about, you got one shot at life and you got to live it the best that you can live it. Would I prefer if everybody stopped killing innocent animals to feed themselves? Yeah. Is it going to happen? No. So, like, I'm not going to waste any time worrying about it. I have to be honest.
Yeah, it's a complex decision, right? Like me, I'm more on the carnivore side. I'm on the time efficiency side, and the simple side of things. I also love animals, right? Like I have 5 dogs, but I'm also conscious that I'm a predator, right? Like yesterday, I was watching this Netflix documentary about sharks, this ocean girl that swims with sharks.
Yeah, I
And
saw that, or I saw someone talking about it.
yeah, she was like, these things are not monsters. Like, I'm like, are you crazy? Like, one day, statistically, you're just gonna get attacked, and your goal is not to show the world that these things are not predators. They are predators. Don't try to change its natures. But I've always been conflicted on, yeah, not killing these poor animals or contributing to these savage industries that just massacre all these animals. And yeah, my more ethical and conscious side, and like helping the world and not having these creatures suffers, because in the end I could have a cow as an animal. A cow's a nice creature. It's just like a dog.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I know it's a hard one. And I think that it's just convenient, like a lot of people are, whenever people come to my house and they eat food, they are stunned that it's vegan. They can't believe it, because we create the most incredible dishes, and we make seitan from scratch, which is basically made from vital wheat gluten, which has the same amount of protein as meat. It's very low on carbs and fat, very, very high in protein. And so all of the dishes that you would enjoy, apart from like a big juicy steak or something, all of the dishes you would enjoy as a carnivore, you enjoy at my house as a vegan. And people just can't believe that the food that they're eating is vegan. But I think that it's just convenience, really, more than anything. It's easy to go to the supermarket. It's easy to pick up a packet of chicken breasts or a steak, or and that's just what we get used to. But you're right. Like there is a component to it of um, a lot of times we don't really think much further than what's right in front of us. I think as human beings, we're not highly conscious or highly evolved. I always try to think of things on a much more macro level. So I try to think of things in there's a great analogy I heard years ago, and I'm going to completely bastardize it now because I won't remember exactly what it is, but it was something about, how different people see an apple. It's like if you hold an apple up, someone who's not very kind of, conscious or whatever of systems and how the world works, will just see an apple like a source of food. I'm hungry, I eat the apple. Someone else will see a slightly larger process involved, like how the apple came to be, like it grew from a tree, it grew from the ground. Someone else will see an ecosystem surrounding the apple, and someone else will look at that apple and see an entire worldwide ecosystem of growth and fertilizer and labor and everything that went in to bring that apple to be in front of you. And it's really just about how far you can expand your worldview, if you like. I've always tried to expand my worldview way beyond what is comfortable for me right now. And it's kind of what we were talking about in the beginning before this started, but you were saying about running ultra marathons, and it teaches you a lot about yourself, about, about how to have patience, cultivate discipline, all those kinds of things. And it's the same with food. It's like whenever you really look at what it is that we do to the world, Charles, by eating meat, like the amount of effort that goes into feeding one cow to produce it for meat could feed 2,000 hungry people. So the amount, and when I say the amount of effort, it's like taking the apple analogy again. So it's, they have to grow the grain, fertilize the grain, farm the grain, mill the grain, ship the grain, bag the grain, feed the grain to the cows to produce that one cow for meat. The effort that goes into producing that grain to raise that cow to be slaughtered for meat could feed 2,000 hungry people. And the world is full of starving people. So if you really want to take it up to even on a humanitarian level, for us to kill cows for meat whenever we could feed the hungry people with the grain really isn't, it really isn't very humanitarian. But then the other part of it is as well that the way that we mass farm animals these days truly is abhorrent. Like it is shocking, and we close our eyes to it. We're like, if a dog or a stray cat gets hurt on the street, we're like, oh, the wee dog. But yet how that bacon comes to be on your plate is absolutely barbaric. But because we don't see it every day, because we're not looking at it every day, because we're not feeling the pain of it every day, we can pretend that it doesn't exist. So I think human beings are very good at pretending things don't exist, and I don't judge them for it. Like, I understand it, because we have so much information coming at us at any one time, and quite often we have a lot of pain in our lives anyway. We're trying to hold down jobs, we're trying to make money, we're trying to keep our spouses happy, we're trying to parent our kids. Like, our lives are hard, and we have a limited capacity for pain. And for us to be able to then also take on the pain of what it means that we're eating this piece of bacon and what it took for it to be there, we're like, we just shut ourselves off to it. It's a self-protective mechanism as human beings. So I understand why people do it, but I think that it's I do think it's very hypocritical for people to call themselves an animal lover. Oh, I'm such an animal lover, and I'm like, but you're eating an animal. You're like, I have full respect for people who say, I, absolutely love animals and I'm vegetarian, or I absolutely love animals and I'm vegan. But for someone to go, oh my God, the poor little animals, I'm such an animal lover. And I'm like, but you're literally eating an animal. It doesn't make sense for me. It's very, it's like so hypocritical. So I always try to live life, with integrity. I always say someone has integrity when their behavior matches their beliefs. So when my behavior matches my beliefs, I'm an animal lover, I don't eat animals, then I consider myself to be consistent. But here's the other thing, right? We all are inconsistent in many ways. Like, I am not full ethical vegan, as in like I do wear leather. What else do I do that the ethical vegans hate me for? I can't remember, but anyway, I'm not. There's other things that I do that I don't, that I am not a full ethical vegan, although I am aspiring to be more now, especially because one of my best friends is very ethical vegan. And so, the vegans come after me and they say, well, that leather handbag you're carrying, a cow died for that. And I'm like, I know, I'm imperfect, I'm really sorry. So I think that all we can try and do is the best that we can do. I'm saying this, I'm not judging in any way that people eat meat or choose that, because I understand why they choose it. I just think it's important for us to be consistent in our definitions of who we are, and and try to live the best that we can live. I guess I got on my soapbox a little bit there. I apologize, but I don't normally go down the vegan route. But you did ask, so I went there.
Yeah, I'll start with my quick opinion. Then we'll read that comment here, and like 5 dogs, right? Like deep down, it's probably because dogs are love machine, right? And humans, I think we're always prioritizing our own needs at first. It's like probably reducing my stress, or probably related to something with my childhood that I had dogs, and I just feel comfortable around them. So yeah, you're probably right on that one. I'm just gonna read that comment here. I don't think it's hypocritical at all. You can be a sports lover without loving all sports. Can be an animal lover without loving all animals. Yeah, I think in the end it's a complex topic and decision, right? Like even in my scenario, I still think like eating meat is a good decision for me. My excuse that I donate to a bunch of causes and that I'm working to crack discovery and research in various areas, which is also which could be argued against. Talking about that, talking about research, for example, do you think that lab meat is the solution? Do you think that progress and discovery and scientific discovery is the solution to living on a better earth when it comes to veganism and eating meat?
I don't know a lot about lab meat, I have to be honest, but I'm 100% in favor of it. Like, if people want to eat meat, if we can create meat in a lab, and I think, as far as I know, the labs are created from, or sorry, the meats are created using cells, I think, from the animals. So it is actually created using DNA cells. And if we can create meat, if we can create something that replicates meat that will literally end animal suffering, I am 100% for it. Because genuinely, the thing that I think gets me about the whole meat industry is that it's so unnecessary. Like, the suffering that we put those animals through is so unnecessary, and the effect on the environment as well. It's mass slaughter at its worst, and it's just unnecessary. So I am 100% in favor of lab meats. I'm like, bring it on. I will absolutely eat it whenever it comes out, because I used to love eating a big juicy steak, I have to be honest. So if there's something that can replicate that flavor and taste, I'm definitely going to eat it.
Right. And do you think the suffering is worse than if that animal would die in nature? I had various hunters on this podcast, right? What is your opinion on that?
Do you know, it's funny. I have a weird opinion on that. So again, which is why I'm not your traditional vegan. I fully believe that if someone is willing to go out and hunt and kill their own food, hunt, kill, skin, whatever their own food, then I fully respect their right to do it. So hunting for, I see, and here, right. So here's the other thing about hunting. Because I grew up in Northern Ireland, which is part of the UK, and so here we are. Fox hunting is a big thing. I ride horses professionally. I ride for Ireland, and so whenever I was younger, we would have gone fox hunting a lot. Now, I don't ever remember catching a fox, I have to be honest. But fox hunting came from a time when foxes were vermin, they were pest, and we needed a way to control them so that they weren't coming in and eating the chickens and hens and different things, that people had on their farms. And also there was other reasons why foxes needed to be controlled. Same with stags. A lot of people get really up in arms about stag hunting, but what they don't understand is stag hunting is actually a very, very, very necessary part of controlling the stags. The people do it for pleasure, but that isn't why they stag hunted years ago. The aristocracy used to go out and stag hunt a lot, or people would have stag hunted. It's to control the population of the stags, because if you have too many stags, they're going to breed too much, and they're actually going to decimate the livestock, or to decimate, sorry, the vegetation. And so I think that a lot of these practices, a lot of these hunting practices and things came about for a reason, for kind of pest control, if you like. But I think that we've now taken them, and then a sport came of it. And I am certainly not very versed on this, I have to be honest. I am not like the world's best expert on this, but I think that if someone is willing, and if someone wants to go hunting, and the hunting serves a purpose, such as stag hunting, which is about controlling the amount of deer and the amount of stags, whatever, that are in a certain area, then I'm in support of that. Going hunting to kill something just because you enjoy killing, I'm kind of struggling to see why that's necessary. You could shoot other things.
Yeah, you can punch a bag or this
Yeah,
other like
exactly.
testosterone related
Exactly.
activity. Talking about bodybuilding, while you're being a vegan, was that like way harder? I've tried bodybuilding, like not vegan mode, and it's already pretty fucking hard. Like, what about if you stack veganism on top of that?
No, well, I get asked this all the time, but I think that the thing that people find hard about veganism more than anything is the preparation of food. It's just that protein sources. So I think it's really just a lack of education more than anything. I eat 180 grams of protein a day currently, and it's easy. I have scrambled tofu in the morning, which is about 40 grams of tofu, 30 grams of tofu, and then I have a protein shake mid morning, 50 grams of protein. And then lunch, I have seitan in my lunch, which is about 48 grams of protein, say 50 grams of protein at lunch. So I'm already, by lunchtime, I'm already 130 grams of protein up, And then dinner is always usually seitan again, or some kind of tofu, but tofu is quite high in fat. So I'll usually have seitan again in the evening. But again, it can absorb different flavors. It can be cooked different ways. It's not like eating, like if you think about a chicken breast can be a plain chicken breast. It can be marinated in a whole myriad of different spices. It can be made into a sauce or a casserole. It's the same with seitan. Seitan is very, very, very versatile. And so I would have that again in the evening, and then, for dinner. And then in the evening, I will have a peanut butter and chocolate protein powder mousse that I make. Well, I have a chef at home, and so he makes them for me. But so those, I'm kind of 180 grams of protein a day. Easy to hit the 180 grams of protein. I think that people who are not vegan or who are carnivore find it hard to get vegan sources of protein because they don't know what to eat. But I think that when you know what to eat, like sunflower mince, which is basically beef, I think you guys call it hash, like a beef hash or something. Is that we call it mince, as in minced beef? I think you guys, are you in America? You're in America, aren't you?
I'm in Mexico. I'm
You're in
Canadian.
Mexico. Oh, okay.
Citizen
Yeah,
of the world.
I wasn't sure if it was. I wasn't sure if you're living in America or not. But I think in America they call it like ground beef. That's what they call it, ground beef. And
Yeah,
so
correct.
yeah, so it can be made from sunflower seeds, and you can make ground beef from sunflower seeds, really high in protein, and it tastes and acts exactly like ground beef. So there's tofu, there's tempeh, which is disgusting. I hate tempeh. There's seitan, there's sunflower, ground beef, sunflower mince we call it. There's minced beef made from soy. There's all different types of vegan proteins that you can use to make your food that doesn't have to be fish, beef, chicken, or whatever. I think it's just educating. It's just having more of an education, and also being committed to making a lot of these things at home, because a lot of us, again, are dependent on supermarket, convenience food. I grew up in the country. My mum cooked every day. My grandma cooked every day. If you wanted something sweet, it was baked. It was never bought, So I grew up cooking. I love cooking. I've taught all my kids to cook. I think that if you're not that naturally that way inclined and you want to go more with convenience food, it's going to be much harder to be a bodybuilder or to get your protein in. But I always say, if it's important to you, you'll find a way, and if it's not, you'll find an excuse.
Yeah, that is true, and that stems from values, identity, goals. Curious on the minerals side of things. Do you supplement? Are you like vitamin B deficient or something like that?
No, I do take a vitamin B complex, and I go for vitamin B shots. Actually, I go for vitamin B intravenously. I take magnesium every day. I take a probiotic. I'm big into peptides at the minute. So I do a GLP-1 peptide. I take Ozempic for in a microdose for inflammation, not for weight loss. People say, how do you get Ozempic? You're not overweight. I don't take it for weight loss. I take a microdose for inflammation. It helps my sleep. It regulates my sleep. It completely eliminates my gluteal tendinopathy that I have in my hip. And it also completely fixed my digestion. So I microdose GLP-1s once a week. I'm also take BPC 157, which is another peptide. I take NAD, which is another peptide. And what else do I do? I'm on HRT because I'm a menopausal woman. I take testosterone as well for menopause. So yeah, I'm big into supplements, peptides, anything which is going to help you with health and longevity. I 100% am on board with.
Okay, Ozempic's the first time I hear it in a protocol like that for inflammation. Can you double click on that? And also the testosterone part is quite interesting. First time I hear about it. Is it the contrarian take? Like where did you get the information? How did you begin testing these two protocols?
Well, I get blood work done. I get very comprehensive blood work done twice a year, which tests all of my levels. And for the first time ever, the last time I had it done, which was about, I think it was in April, April or May, I think I had it done. It was maybe May. My testosterone levels were low. My testosterone levels have never been low, but it's very common for a woman in perimenopause, which is what I am, to have low testosterone levels. And it's very important. Testosterone is one of the most important hormones to make sure that women are not deficient in. So I then went to my doctor. I have a specialized menopause doctor, and I said to her, I want to add testosterone into my protocol. And she said, well, are we treating the symptom, or are we treating, you don't have any symptoms of having low testosterone. She said, so are we treating the result or are we treating the symptom? And I said, well, I don't really care, but if it's low, I want to top it up. So we started an experimental dose of, she had to prescribe off label because in the UK, testosterone is only prescribed for men. So men's dose is 40 milligrams of testosterone gel a day. I take 5 milligrams a day. So we're going to retest my bloods in 3 months and make sure that the levels are fine, because you only want to top up to your levels of what they should be. I'm not taking testosterone so that, it goes way over. I'm just taking it to top up my levels to what they should be. And then the GLP-1s, so the peptides are really exploding onto the market at the minute. They are literally elixirs. A lot of people don't know about Ozempic as an anti-inflammatory, but the research that's coming out at the minute about the GLP-1s, which stands for glucagon-like peptide 1. So your body naturally makes GLP-1s, and it makes them in your digestive system, and it makes it in your brain. And it is it is responsible for controlling inflammation. It has been shown to reverse and cure diabetes, Crohn's disease, leaky gut, IBS. Like, it is unbelievable what it does for your digestion. And as a menopausal woman, it is insane what it does for your sleep. After I started taking GLP-1s, about 2 weeks later, I started sleeping through the night. I haven't slept through the night as a woman in menopause, even on HRT, for years. Like, every single night I was getting up to pee in the middle of the night. Every night, like 3 o'clock, I would wake up, shit, I need to pee. And even if I'd just gone to bed at midnight, like, how the fuck do I need to pee again? But I did. And so since I started taking the GLPs, completely gone. And if I am off them, so I do once a week. And then I realized I needed to increase my dose. I was on a tiny dose. So just to be clear, the starting dose of Ozempic is 0.25 milligrams. So you take 0.25 milligrams once a week for 4 weeks. Then you go up to one, you double it to, actually I've never doubled, so I don't know. I think you go up to 0.5 and then up to 1 and then up to 2 and then up to 2.5, then up to 5. So you actually are almost doubling your dose over a long period of time. With a microdose, you don't do that. So whenever I started on 0.05 milligrams, which was an eighth of the starting dose. And then I went up to 0.1 milligrams, which is a quarter of the starting dose. And now I'm on 0.25 milligrams, which is the regular starting dose that you're only supposed to be on for 4 weeks, and then you're supposed to increase, but I will not increase. But the 0.25 is the perfect amount for me, because what started to happen was my gluteal tendinopathy, which again is a menopausal symptom, started coming back, and I couldn't understand why my hip was in so much pain. And I started waking up again in the night. So I increased my dose just a little bit until I find the perfect dose that keeps me completely pain-free, keeps my digestion feeling amazing, and keeps me sleeping through the night. So the thing about GLPs though is there's lots of different ones out there. So there's Ozempic, which only has GLP-1, and then there's others which are called a double agonist, which the likes of Wegovy, Mounjaro, tirzepatide, which is Mounjaro. It's a double agonist, so it works on GIP and GLP-1. But there's another one that's just come out called retatrutide, and it's a triple agonist, right? It's muscle protectant and muscle building. The reason why, though, I don't want to take retatrutide, which I have actually ordered some, but I haven't taken it, is because it's the GLP-1s that are responsible for the inflammation. And that's why I'm taking it. I'm not taking it for fat loss. So I don't really want the gastric emptying, the slowing of the gastric emptying. I do not want my appetite to be decreased. And I don't want any of those other side effects. So if you stay with the GLP-1, which is what Ozempic is, pure GLP-1, it is amazing for reducing inflammation. And I'm a huge advocate of them. Microdosing is the way forward. You're going to be microdosing. Honestly, everyone's going to be microdosing within 5 years. People are going to be taking GLP-1s like they're taking creatine. Everyone's on creatine.
Interesting. I'm already microdosing a bunch of things, not Ozempic. In Mexico, it's 250 USD for 5 injections. Is that correct? Is that the price?
Yeah, well, over here, it's about £100, which is about $125 for what is supposed to be 4 weeks worth. But whenever you microdose, you can make it, well, you shouldn't keep the product any longer than 56 days. And I found this out the hard way. If you still are using the product in week 10, what happens is the peptides start to disintegrate, they deteriorate. And so you're not getting as strong a product. So over here, $125 will last me about 8 weeks of a microdose. So yeah, that's about how much it costs. But it's worth
Right.
it to me, worth every penny to me for what it does.
And who or what was your inspiration for all these biohacking protocols initially? Did you follow, I don't know, like Dave Asprey in the original days, or were you always like in self-discovery mode?
I've always seen myself as a little scientist. I've always experimented on myself. I've never had any fear of experimentation. And I've always been into the human body. Like if someone says to me, I don't know why this or I don't know why that, I can explain to you, well, here's how your digestive system works, and here's how the enzymes work, and here's how your pancreas work, and here's how your hormones work. I've always loved the human body and how the human body works. And I go to bed at night reading books on how to control your blood sugar. I don't have diabetes, but like I'll buy a book on diabetes and how to control called the blood sugar diet, and I read it out of interest because I love stuff like that. So I've always been super into it. And then I met a woman who's now actually one of my best friends, who is the world's leading expert on peptides. Her name is Dr. Tina Moore, Tyna. So anyone listening to this should go and look her up. I interviewed her on my podcast recently. And she has spent the last 4 years, I think, absolutely digging into the world of peptides. She's a naturopathic doctor. She's a prescribing doctor. She's a chiropractor. She's been using microdosing GLPs and microdosing peptides with her clients for years and years and years. And she has written an entire course called GLP-1 University, I think, which really just breaks down and explains peptides. And so when I listened to her podcast interview on Diary of a CEO, Stephen Bartlett's podcast, I was blown away by what she was describing, because she was literally describing me. She was describing me. Everything she described about herself, about her pain, about the sleeping, about the brain fog that women get. Like I run a big company and I couldn't even remember what tab I was on in my computer every day. I was like, think, Kim, think. Like my brain just wasn't working. And since microdosing the GLPs, all of that is gone. It's gone. Like I am clear, I am energetic, I sleep well, my recovery score, I wear an Oura ring. My recovery score every day is in the 90s. 93. Like I got my report recently. It was like, congratulations, your highest recovery score was 96. I was like, 96? Like I don't know whether you know about the Oura rings, but that is an insane recovery score. You got one too. I'm an investor in the company actually. So everybody should buy one. So whenever I heard about Tina, I reached out to her. I was like, you are my hero. I think you're amazing. Can you come on my podcast? Can you teach me everything you know? So she's been teaching me everything she knows. And I bought her course as well, which is amazing. And that's where I kind of got into the peptides. And Charles, my goal in life is really to be, well, two things. So I want to be as healthy as I can possibly be now. Like right now, I want to feel good right now. And I want to do as much as I can do right now. I want to make as much money as I can. I want to build a huge company, which is what we're putting in plan at the minute for this growth plan that we have. I want to enjoy time with my kids. I want to be energetic. I want to lift weights. I want to live life to the fullest.
Limitless Style.
It's what?
Limitless Style, the movie.
Yeah, Limitless. Oh, I love Limitless. I love that movie with Bradley Cooper. Yeah. Yeah, I love it. And so that's always been my goal. But then the other thing is I have a huge following online of people who, follow me and listen to me and respect what I say. And so I want to walk the talk, and everything that I share, everything I try on myself, I share with my audience. And if it works for me, I'm like, here, I have this amazing thing. You should try it too. And so I love then to teach people what it is that worked for me so it can work for them as well. So it's kind of a double thing. I like to experiment on myself. I always have, but now I experiment on myself as a way to be able to teach others. And the peptides are the future. And so I'm learning as much about them as I can at the minute so that I can help others to be pain-free. I think my ultimate goal in life is I just want to be pain-free. I just want to live pain-free, happily, energetically, and have the best possible time that I can have here while I'm on this earth. And I think I want everyone else to have that as well. So that's why I do what I do every day, I guess.
Yeah, flow state, sort of rapid fire. What do you think about microdosing modafinil? Like, I don't know, once a week, just to get in that zone. Saunas, cold plunge, meditation, fasting. What's your take on all of these?
I don't know what the first one is. What is that? The first one you said?
Modafinil, it's the NZT pill, so the Limitless movie, if you want to feel that way. If you think Ozempic is level 1, the modafinil is level 10. It has very few side effects, unlike Adderall. So Adderall is pretty bad, Okay, so
It's not big.
let's
I've
skip.
heard people talk about it in the US, but it's not something that's big here in Ireland or the UK.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend Adderall. It's like sort of
Stimulant.
like ecstasy. Yeah.
Mm.
So you don't really want that. Like long term, you get like jittery, anxious. But Afenil has none of the side effects. It's pretty amazing. If you
But is it
microdose it.
stimulant? Like, is it like ecstasy? Like, do you feel like I used to take a lot
No.
of ecstasy when I was younger, so I'm like,
Yeah, no, yeah, I did speed and ecstasy a couple of times, but no, that was never my thing when I was younger. Unlike Coca, Coca was certainly
mm,
a nice stimulant when you would go out in raves, but no, it's not. It's like a productivity drug. It's meant to. It's meant for people that are working through night shifts, right? Like to promote
right?
wakefulness for 6 to 12 hours. So yeah, pretty powerful one, but you need a prescription to get it. What's your
Mm.
take on saunas, ice bath, meditation, fasting, breath work, any of that in your daily
Yeah.
routine?
Well, not in my daily routine currently, but I do. We have an ice bath at home. We have a plunge pool, one of the proper ones with the cooling unit and all the rest of it. My husband got really into ice baths recently. It's not something I ever really, well, okay, I was going to say it's not something I ever really went into in the research. I did, but I think you can only be passionate about like, a small number of things, passionate and knowledgeable. But I'll tell you what happened with the ice baths. We have an infrared sauna at home. I'm a big believer in infrared saunas. I love them. I just don't use my sauna enough. But the research that I've seen on it, that it actually enhances recovery by up to 40%. Like you recover 40% faster using infrared saunas. So that is definitely something that I really need to add back into my protocol. Big sauna fan. The ice bath. So here's what happened with the ice baths. I was always like, I hated cold water. I hate the feeling of cold water going up over my
Hey,
stomach. I don't know why.
okay.
It was a child something to do with childhood. I hated it. But so then I interviewed Wim Hof on my podcast. And I said to him, I was like, okay, I have a confession to make. And he said, what? I said, I hate cold water. And he was like, okay, you need to get over that. I was like, I know, I really need to. And so he was talking about the benefits of, the ice bathing and whatever. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. So I organized that. So he said, if you organize like a cold water swim, I'll come. Now, not in person, but I'll come on, we'll hook up on Zoom or whatever, and I'll be there with all the people. I was like, okay, let's do it. So I organized this big cold water swim that weekend at one of the local beaches here in Northern Ireland. It was fucking freezing, and it was windy and rainy, and there were big waves. I was like,
I
oh my
mean, it's
god, what am
cold.
I doing? It was Baltic. It was absolutely freezing. So Wim was there, and he was on like the computer, and we had like huge crowds because I told them all Wim was going to be there, and he was cheering everyone on, and we all did our cold water swim. And I was like, okay, it wasn't actually that bad. So we then bought a plunge pool. My husband had been doing the cold water therapy for a while. And so he would go and sit in his ice bath every day. So we started doing it and I got pretty good at it. Like we would have it at about 3 degrees centigrade. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but we would have it really cold and I would be able to get in for about 6 or 7 minutes at 3 degrees, which is just above freezing. And so I did it every day. And for, I would say, about 18 months, I did it every single morning for about 18 months. And it did feel absolutely amazing. What we were talking about the running earlier, it completely I completely overcame any fear that I had of cold water. I'm now able to literally go 3, 2, 1 and just straight into any amount of cold water and just my body, I now have a coping mechanism. My body can cope with it. So I developed a lot of strength from doing it. I haven't dug into any science around whether there's a lot of people saying it's not good for women, it's not good for their recovery system or whatever. But I'm a big believer in if it makes you feel good, rock on,
And mindset, just
Yeah,
mindset.
mindset. Yeah, you can do hard things. And so here's what I learned from Wim. I'm going to give you a wee bit of science about it. So Wim and I are great friends now. Like we message each other all the time. He actually lives in Australia now, believe it or not. And he just had another baby. I'm like, you're too old to be having babies. Stop it. He's like 65 or something.
Machine.
So he has a fucking machine. He's so many kids. So anyway, he told me, so here's what happens. Whenever babies are born, they have a lot of brown adipose tissue. So you have two types of adipose tissue: white adipose tissue and brown adipose tissue. White adipose tissue is energy generating, can be broken down for energy. Brown adipose tissue is heat generating, right? So babies are born with a lot of brown adipose tissue because they can't regulate their own body heat. So if you are if a baby is cold, it can use the brown adipose tissue to keep itself warm, because we as adults can jump around to keep ourselves warm. You're cold, you know, have you ever been skiing? If your hands are frozen, you just flick your hands like this and you get the blood into your hands, you can jump around, you get warm. Babies can't do that. So they have to have a source of adipose tissue that can be broken down for heat energy. As we get older, our bodies, if we don't expose ourselves to the cold regularly enough, our bodies replace all of the brown adipose tissue with white adipose tissue. White adipose tissue is not heat generating. But here's why it's important. Cancer cells feed off adipose tissue, but cancer cells cannot, if they grow in your body, and they do, all of us have cancer cells, but our bodies usually attack them and kill them. But cancer cells can only feed off white adipose tissue. They can't feed off brown. So if you start to trigger your body to store more brown adipose tissue, you actually starve cancer cells of their food source. This is what I learned from Wim and all the science that he's been doing all these studies recently, and this is what they've proven. So people who cold plunge regularly, who cold plunge every day for about 6 to 7 minutes, actually trigger their body's fat storage mechanism to replace white adipose tissue with brown adipose tissue, effectively starving your cancer cells. So that's why it's recommended for people who have cancer to be doing these kinds of therapies as well, but also just for general health and longevity. That is what they recommend. So when Wim taught me that, I was like, okay, well, that's a good reason to actually be doing cold plunges. So I definitely did a few more after that, but it's not something that I've stuck with. Meditation, I have no time to meditate anymore. And they always say, people who say they've no time to meditate should meditate. But as an ex-yoga teacher, I used to meditate a lot. I honestly find it incredibly boring. So how I meditate is I go for a walk or I go ride my horses. I'm much more of a fan of a moving meditation, I have to be honest. So it's not something that I add into my protocol. Like I said, my life is, I'm here just to have fun. You know, I'm here to like do what makes me happy. If it doesn't make me happy, and it doesn't feel good, I don't usually do it. I can't remember what else you asked.
Yeah. Well, I talked to a lot of high performers that are the same. Myself, I did a 10-day silent meditation retreat, and I was like, yeah, I just wasted my time there. I could have added value to the world, but I was sitting down in fucking silence and breaking my back for 10 days. I just want to finish off with your workouts. What are the most effective exercises you've seen? Like, I'm a major geek with that. I have pretty much everything in this house as well. What are your favorite your favorite workout regimen right now?
Well, you know, it's funny. My whole workout regimen has actually just changed. For some reason, the volume in my podcast keeps going down, and I must be a setting to actually lower it on the on the computer. My workouts have completely changed now, and I am a big believer in your workouts should serve your goals. They should serve your goals. And if your goal is, I really just want to go to the gym and have fun, then that's great. You should do a workout that you enjoy. If your goal is, I want to build as much muscle as possible, then you should be following a high intensity training principle, such as, you know, coined by Mike Menser, Dorian Yates, who's also a great friend of mine. You should be following that kind of a principle if your goal is to build as much muscle as possible. And so it really depends on what you're going for. So I, for many years, wanted to build as much muscle as quickly as possible. That was my goal. I want to be big. I want to have big legs. Not like man big, but big for a woman. Big, muscly arms, back, big legs, big glutes. So I found the muscliest man I've ever met in my entire life, who is a trainer here in Belfast called Mark Getty, who's a heavyweight bodybuilder. And I said to him, you are huge. Can you make me huge? And he said, of course. So for years, I did only high intensity training. So not high intensity interval training, high intensity training, which is basically utilizing the concept of going to failure in the final reps of the final set. So everything up to your final set is simply a warm up. And then in your final set of every exercise, you give it your all and you go to failure. And then with assisted reps, half reps, forced reps, spotted reps, you go beyond failure for only 1 or 2 reps. And basically you stimulate the muscle to do more than it is currently capable of doing. So it will adapt to the new stimulus, is the principle of it. I doubled the amount of muscle in my body in 12 months with no anabolic steroids. Like, I literally doubled my leg size. It was insane how quickly my legs changed. And it was shocking to me how hard I had to work to make it happen. The bottom line is most people just aren't training hard enough. And they go, why are my legs not growing? And then they show me their leg workout. I'm like, well, that's why, right? Because you just don't understand what it takes. So that's what I did for many years. But what happened then was this year actually, or last year, I just stopped enjoying it. It started to hurt more than it started to help. Like I started to have niggly injuries. I started going into menopause. And so my joints weren't the same. I started having more inflammation. I started, and also I reached the very top of my weight capacity. Like I was lat pull downing like 100 kilos, which for a woman, like that's 220 pounds, like for 10 reps, it's pretty heavy. And then on an incline hack squat, I was like squatting 240 kilos, which is multiplied by 2.2, 500, 600 pounds. So I really had reached the top of what my genetic potential was. And any gains were just in one extra rep, one extra, like a couple of extra kilos or whatever. And it just got to the point where this really, really hard and heavy training was taking a huge toll on my body. And also mentally, I really began dreading going to the gym. It was different when I was pushing and pushing and pushing. I was like, I want more muscle. I want more muscle. I was willing to put up with the intensity and the hardship of it. But as that kind of changed and I wasn't pushing for more muscle anymore, I was like, this is not serving me. And it took me about a year to really admit that I didn't enjoy training this way anymore. And I was afraid of losing all the muscle that I had built. But I took a deviation this year and I started training with dumbbells just out of desperation. One day I was like, I don't want to go to the gym, but I don't want to stop training. I'm not enjoying it anymore. What if I started training with dumbbells? What if I changed my workout protocol away from mechanical stress, which is where you take the muscle through the full range of motion, full stretch, full squeeze with a heavy load. It's the fastest way to build muscle, which is what I was doing in the gym, working on the principle of mechanical stress. What if I go from that to more metabolic stress? So I'm working harder in each session, as in like less rest periods, more of a metabolic burn in the muscle, but you recover faster, which means you can train more often. So you can train legs 2-3 times a week whenever you are working with metabolic stress. But with mechanical stress, the way I was training, I couldn't have trained legs any more than once a week because it took my legs a full 7 days to recover. So I changed to that this year, and I made the deliberate decision to change my body shape. Because here's the other thing, Charles, that I'm an entrepreneur at heart more than anything. And my audience of women are now menopausal women. They're women between the age of 40 and 65. And you know what? They don't want to look like a bodybuilder. They don't want to look, they look at me and they have respect for my body, but they don't look at my body and go, oh, I want to have Kim Constable's body. What they want to have is long, lean, muscular legs, nice defined arms and delts, nice muscular back, but not a huge big back. They want to look feminine, shapely, lean, and muscular.
Lean belly.
Yeah, like abs. They want abs. They want abs, and they want shoulders. They want perky glutes. They don't really care about big quads, right? So I thought, well, if I want to, I'm launching this new app called Be Sculpted. And I think we're actually going to open studios as well across the world. Like we're really going now. We have a 3-year growth plan for Be Sculpted, and we're going to open Be Sculpted studios where people can come and train. And I was like, I have to have the body that women of my age will look at and go, yeah, I want to look like her. And so I deliberately have now changed my body shape, and I kind of like it. Like I stood on the scales this morning. I was like, I don't know how I feel about the fact that I'm 67 kilos. And what's that in pounds? 120, 130, 140, 143 pounds.
Yeah.
It was like, I haven't been this light in years. I was usually around 72 kilos of muscle. So I was like, I don't know how I feel, but I'm super lean at the minute, and I'm happy about it. But it's hard to watch your body lose muscle because it took me so long to build it. But I'm also happy with this new stage of life, and I'm happy with the training I'm doing. I train 5-6 days a week now. I only train for 30 minutes. I never feel destroyed afterwards. I don't dread training, and it works for my lifestyle. So I think that the training that you do has to work for you, has to work for your lifestyle. But the other thing that people are not clear on is their body goal. What are you going for? What kind of a body do you want to have? What do you want to look like? You're a runner, an ultra runner. So you don't want to have this massive amount of bulk that you're going to have to run around the place. You want to have dense, hard, tight, strong muscles that are built for endurance. So your training is going to reflect that. It's not going to reflect, you don't want these enormous big quads, that look great but aren't really that strong. So I would imagine. So you have to tailor your training to what it is that you want to achieve and what you want to look like. And that is, so when someone comes to me and they say, what training should I do? I'm saying, well, what do you want to look like? What's your goal? And they're like, oh, I don't know. And I'm like, well, you need to figure that out first, and then you can figure out what training you should be doing in order to look like that.
Yeah, I can relate to everything you said. In my case, it's a bit weird. It's like, these Spartan race bodies. So it's like still looking very good in the mirror. And I thought I didn't care about that, but I actually do care a lot because I went through bodybuilding and I was all bulk, but I still didn't like the way that I looked, like I couldn't see my 8-pack, for example, and stuff like that. And made look superficial. But once you do it, you're like, yeah, no, I still want to look good in the mirror. Where can people find out more about you, Kim?
Instagram is probably the best place to find me. Also on YouTube. So I do live workouts every day on YouTube. I've just started. You can actually join me live every morning at 9 a.m. UK time, which is pretty early for the Americans, but the replays are available there. So I'm doing live workouts every day on YouTube. I'm on Instagram, the Sculpted Vegan. I post a lot on Instagram. We're just focusing on our TikTok account now as well, so you can find me on TikTok. But those are probably the three places. More than Instagram is where I hang out the most. So you're better to find me there if you want to have a chat with me.
So that was Kim and Charles for another CEO Wisdom